So the ecosystem is the bread and butter of making your builds and different playstyles in Wayfinder that can massively alter whether you are a glass cannon type character, a bruiser, a mage type character, or someone who prefers to be up and close with their weapon, but admittedly it can be a bit daunting of a system at first to learn, so in this video let's get through everything to know about the ecosystem. For future Wayfinder content, do make sure to subscribe as I will be covering all aspects of the game, and I already have a lot of video guides based on closed beta experience that might help you get into Wayfinder. So if I wanted to summarize the ecosystem very briefly, it is basically a gem or modification system for your characters and weapons, and is one of the main mini-games you will mess around as you are progressing and customizing your characters. Echoes, lore-wise, are essentially memory fragments of beings in the world, and as a result, in Wayfinder almost every single creature you encounter will have an echo, which means it's a modification you can grind for and unlock to see if it's something you would like to use. Echoes will have multiple attributes to them to determine their usefulness and value, such as their level, the rarity, their rank, their echo type, their capacity cost, and of course, the stats they give. Level is a fixed attribute of echoes that you cannot change. They are just an indicator of how early of an echo it is, or maybe how hard it is to get them. But this level cannot be changed, it is more of an indicator of how capacity expensive an echo will most likely be. The rarity is one of the most important stats to keep an eye out for though, as when echoes will drop from enemies, they will randomly be assigned with the rarity, anything from common to epic that I know of for now, and the stat will not only determine how good the stats are on your echo, as higher rarities will have better base stats, but they will also determine the maximum rank of an echo. Now rank is basically the leveling system of your echoes, and as you will fuse them together, which we'll talk about in a bit here, you will reach higher ranks of them and increase their capacity cost in exchange for even more stats. It is good to know that higher ranks don't always necessarily mean they are better, and eventually it might be worth to keep lower ranks but high rarity echoes to slot them in when you have a few empty capacity slots left. Then we have echo types, which will just determine the type of echo you're dealing with, like attacking or defense echoes or rush type echoes that give special abilities, for instance. The main benefit of these echo types is that both your characters and weapons also have types associated with their slots, and equipping the proper echoes in the proper slots gives you 50% lower capacity requirement for them, which is huge to be able to maximize the amount of echoes you can equip. Finally, the capacity cost is basically just an indication of how expensive it is to equip a certain echo. The higher rank and level usually means more, but there are also cross-type echoes which are more powerful, but also more costly types that you can equip. Now let's take a look at Heroic Kairos Echo loadout for us for a practical example. The current Kairos is kind of well equipped on the Wayfinder and the weapon. The echoes do match the slot types, but the accessories don't match their slots out of greed, trying to increase ability power as much as possible, without considering proper echo slots. Increasing your strength and power isn't always going to be through having perfectly matched slots with echoes, but it is definitely something to consider when it comes to trading capacity points and stats. Think of it like a puzzle. The higher the cost of an echo, the more it is worth to equip it in the right slot, and the less it costs, the more you can play around with it. Now let's try to optimize this Kairos with the echoes we have while still trying to increase ability power the most. After a bit of tinkering and experimenting, you can see that almost every capacity is almost full except for the second accessory, where we still had a spare slot to equip a stronger attack-based echo, but everywhere else we changed and swapped different echoes and played with the equipment order, and overall in the end, despite using actually less ability power focused echoes, we do have an increase in every single attribute compared to the previous loadout, which is all thanks to the matching types allowing us to equip fewer but much more powerful echoes that give more stats than the cheap ones. So never settle in, always experiment with your echoes, ranks, and how you could maximize and squeeze out everything with the capacities you possess. And with that said, we have arrived to the final section of the ecosystem guide, leveling them up or fusing. Fusion is done on the same screen on your equipped echoes, and it is honestly a very basic system that we've already seen in many other games, where you can use your other non-used echoes as fodder to fuse into the ones you want to use, and thus giving them fusing experience that increases their star rank, which, if you remember, is determined by the rarity on how many stars they can have. The higher the rank, the more experience it will require, of course, and it really isn't complicated at all. Also costs a little bit of memory fragments each time you fuse, but the only very important thing to note and remember here is that duplicate echoes have a special bonus as they give each other more fusion experience. This means if you have, let's say, a Herald Echo, then you will get more fusion experience if you fuse other Herald Echoes of any rarity into it, compared to other monster echoes, so it is always worth considering saving them up if that's an echo you want to use later. Additionally, like I say in my 5 tips video, do not be afraid to level up your low rarity echoes, as higher rank ones also give a lot of fusion experience, and even if you leveled up a common echo, once you find a rare version of it, you can just fuse the maximum rank common echo into it for tons of fusion experience. Sure, it wouldn't be exactly the same, you do lose out on a portion, but according to my tests, you still transfer over around 80% of your fusion experience. That is everything to know about Wayfinder's ecosystem and how to use and upgrade them, everyone. As I mentioned, it isn't a super complex base system, but it is a fun enough minigame of organizing them and figuring out the best combinations if it is something you do enjoy doing, and you can definitely fiddle with the combinations for some really interesting builds. If you enjoyed this video and it helped, like and subscribe to the channel, as I will be covering a lot of Wayfinder content in the future, and I already have a lot of additional guides to help you get into and learn the game. Thank you everyone for watching, that is it for now, take care, and I'll see you all the next time.